Mining Weekly Online is talking to Fortune Majapello, the CEO of Bushveld Minerals, which is listed on the AIM in London. Can you tell us your latest news regarding tin?
We just recently announced the acquisition of the Zaaiplaats tailings dump. The tailings dump is located between the two deposits, which comprise about 18,500 tons of contained tin. Sandwiched right in between these two deposits is the Zaaiplaats tailings dump.
This sounds like low-hanging fruit to me, where you've got tin in a dump. It doesn't have to be mined. It's there on surface.
That's the most exciting part of it, is that it is there, milled already. Previous work done on it shows that there is quite some significant amount of tin left in the dump, which we are looking forward to developing and processing.
When do you think you'll have the first tin emerging from this dump?
From the time that we have ascertained the actual resource number according to JOHC, and we've completed our metallurgical test work, we expect that this deposit can be brought into production well within 12 months. You can get this into production fairly quickly without spending a lot of money.
Can you tell us when last we mined tin in South Africa?
It was in the late 80s and around about 1990 that Rooiberg was the last to close, and before that Zaaiplaats sometime just shortly before that. So we're now looking at 25 years later at perhaps restarting the whole tin business again, based on a lower grade material, but nevertheless a fairly substantial resource. But of course the tin prices escalated from about $3,000 a ton at that time to something like 22,000 at the moment. So it is certainly looking attractive.
Why is it that there's this demand for tin at the moment?
Because of the unique density of the material. It's now been used in electronic equipment. Now, China's obviously produces most of the electronic equipment, but the solder that they used to use in the electronic boards was a lead and tin mixture. But obviously, with the detrimental effect that lead has on workers, they dropped lead out of the solder. So the solder became purely a tin-based solder. So there's not a lot of metals that can be substituted for tin. Lead's probably the only one at this stage. Tin is a high demand product. It's a very difficult mineral to create a massive ore body out of. You've got an increasing demand, decreasing supply, and in economics that spells opportunity.
There's also potential to mine tin in the old Zaaiplaats area.
Our license area that we started off with has got 5 targets, tin targets that we identified, and they are in quite close proximity to each other. We started off with the Groenfontein deposit, which we proved 6,000 tons of contained tin on it, which is hard rock, a quarry type of operation tin in coarse granite, which should be quite easy to process. Next target was the Zaaiplaats target. The Zaaiplaats is an old tin, used to be called Zaaiplaats Tin Mine Limited, in fact, which used to be listed on the JSE. They mined the high-grade rich pipes out of that, but there is some disseminated tin which we targeted there, and we confirmed the resource of about 12,500 tons of contained tin. These two deposits will be open pit quarry type operations when we take them into mining. Between them is this Zaaiplaats dump with between 2,600 and 4,500 tons of tin contained. So our thinking was, you need to look at all this together as a single operation. Start with the tailings, get these into production. You can get mining them for a period of about 4 or 5 years, generate good cash flow out of that, on the back of which you can then look to develop the primary deposits of Groenfontein and Zaaiplaats. At the same time, we are exploring the other targets within the license area, as well as, of course, the Marble Hole project, which is a separate license area, which we acquired sometime last year, which itself has a potential 18,000 tons of contained tin resource.
From an Africa-wide perspective, now this is obviously going a little bit deeper into our ambitions, is that Africa does contain some of the world's biggest deposits of tin, albeit in difficult locations. but we see that an early production, early cash flow of tin as a grounding towards developing what we believe can be a truly African-wide tin company, and that will differentiate us quite significantly from a number of other tin projects around the world, in that we'll have a producing tin assets, plus we'll have exploration targets around Africa.
For our financial modeling, for example, we typically work with a tin price of between $18,500–$20,000 per ton, which is a very modest, conservative number. All forecasts suggest that the price of tin is headed upwards.
We've been chasing the tin project now for the last 5 years. We believe in the prospects of tin going forward, and as a metal, and also with the projects that we have lined up, we're really very confident about our ability to deliver on these projects.
We're just quite fortunate to be in this unique metallogenic province of the Bushveld complex. We've looked at and are looking at umpteen layers down below, from platinum and the iron, vanadium, etc. This just happens to be the uppermost of all these phenomenal mineral layers, if you like, in the Bushveld complex. So, and the granites cover a large area, and we feel there is still significant potential out there, particularly for this lower grade material that we've been talking about.
For these types of deposits, which are not necessarily large deposits, we have an approach to deploy mobile-based processing platforms, which you can move from deposit to deposit. That will give us a lot more flexibility, obviously, in terms of optimizing on our CapEx spend and being able to use that infrastructure across the different deposits that we're developing. That approach we find particularly useful in this environment, where we're not necessarily looking at a massive single deposit at a time.
That was Mining Weekly Online, talking to the AIM-listed Bushveld Minerals about its prospects in the tin space.